All right, welcome everyone. We are live. Today is Wednesday morning miracles. We are going to learn some more things from A Course in Miracles, and we will share and we will create magic, create miracles here so that it may extend out into the world. Let our minds be clear, be a clear channel to the connection that we're all seeking, which is the connection to the greater universe, to the divine, to God. And we're going to start by reading one day from A Year of Miracles with Marianne Williamson. So this is for reflections, it says. Day 155 on the limitlessness of God. To God, every moment is a new beginning, and God is held back by nothing. God would never say, I could help you, but you messed up so badly, so I don't want to. Neither does he say, I could give you a great life, but your parents were dysfunctional, so my hands are tied. That's a good one. Limitations do not stand before the limitlessness of God, and it is the limits to our faith, not the limits to our circumstances, that keep us from experiencing miracles. Every situation provides us the chance to live with broader, more audacious hope and faith that all things are possible. God is bigger than any limited circumstances in our past. God is bigger than any limitations that the world is showing us now. Limitations exist only as a challenge to us to mature spiritually, as we realize that through the grace of God, we are bigger than they. Bigger than financial lack? Yes, because in God you are infinitely abundant. Bigger than sickness? Yes, because in God, you are in total good health. Bigger than terrorism? Yes, because in God, we are infinite love, and love is the one and only force that hate and fear cannot withstand. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. Even if enough of us prayed each morning, asking God to send his spirit into the global mess we've created and make all things right, surrendering our own ideas and asking for his instead, all our problems will begin to dissolve. The answer is in prayer. And prayer can look like many different forms. I do think that the call that we do here today and the time that we spend together here is a prayer. And as we begin to clear our mind, because the prayer is always to return our mind to the natural self that we are. The prayer is always in remembering the divine in each one of us. So as we have this conversation here today, and as we study A Course in Miracles together, it is a prayer. It is a prayer for more peace in the world, for more clarity in our minds, for more capacity to love in our hearts, and really to remember who we are. And so today we are on chapter 13 of A Course in Miracles, section 5, called the two emotions. And so, for us, what we create in this world, we feel like there are many, many emotions. We feel like there might be 6, there's hundreds. But what the Course says is everything comes down to just 2. And everything else is us making things complicated. We're creating different shades of gray so that we actually remain in the confusion. But it is a clarification to truth that everything comes down to one of the 2 feelings of love or fear. One of them is made up by us. One of them we have learned in this world. It isn't actually our inheritance. Love is something that the Course says is eternal. Eternal is truth. Truth is something that never changes. Fear, on the other hand, is not of our natural self, is not of God. We actually have to learn it after we were born. It's the belief that somehow we are separate, right? So it's such a great, what word am I looking for? Not metaphor, but like exact example is we come out of the mother and there's a separation that happens. And from that moment, the physical separation creates our spiritual separation too. Fear is just what happens when we forget that connection. Fear is what happens when we forget love, when we misperceive ourselves as alone, as separate. Fear is the result of us thinking from a dual place, from fragments. And so from that place, it always attacks because it's distorted. It doesn't remember that we are actually one. Now, it's not something we have to fight. Fear is not something that we have to fight. The Course asks us to look at everything without judgment. So when I'm talking about fear, when I'm talking about love right now, you can apply it to different situations in your life, different places in which confusion or conflict is showing up. So even confusion itself, confusion is just a form of fear. Because in God, in spirit, we are never actually confused. Confusion is what happens when we add a whole bunch of other stuff on and we create oh my God, losing words right now. Words are hard. We create, what word am I looking for? Something that's just more of something, right? Than just the word fear itself. We separate it into a whole bunch of different things so that we never actually realize that the root is just fear, right? We get angry and we're like, no, that's anger. But what is that? Maybe that finds its way back to fear. We realize, oh, people that are angry are because they actually have something inside that they're trying to get rid of. Okay, great. Then there are a whole ton of different other emotions that we create that really just comes down to fear or love. Okay, there is in the Essene Gospel of Peace, it talks about that the further away you are from God, the more there is, like the more ideas, the more emotions, the more laws, actually, it says there are. The closer you are to God, the less laws there are. It's simplified, right? It comes down to what encompasses all of these things. And in the Course, we talk about love or fear. But fear is something that doesn't really exist. It's made up by us. Love is something that when fear is removed, when the veil is moved, love just exists. We don't have to find it. We don't have to earn it. We simply just have to let it be. And so it's a practice of surrender and acceptance. You know, that's why in all the different spiritual practices, everything comes down to surrender and acceptance, which then comes down to faith. See, there's just faith, and then it kind of stems down further and further, and it meets people where they are. God and love meets people where they are. That's why it says, it's like, think about it like a triangle, right? At the top is love, but meeting people where they are, more and more emotions and more laws have to be created to help guide people back home. And we can be like, the purpose is that in all of these laws and all of these feelings and emotions, that are stemmed from just one, actually. See, in the very beginning of the Course, it says that the Course does not aim at teaching love, for love is beyond what can be taught. So love is at the very top. Love is the only thing that exists. Love, God, all interchangeable. But it's the only thing that is eternal. It's truth. It's the only thing that exists. Now, below that, for us to understand, is now there is love and fear. Love and fear are the two emotions that is meeting us where we're at. But the distinction is that fear doesn't really actually exist. It's something that we made up, something that we learned, something that comes out of scarcity, something that comes out of fear of loss, fear of actually waking up, fear of success, fear of redemption. I think last week or the week before, we talked about the fear of redemption. And we can think about this in terms of however way you want to understand it in your life. When people say fear of success, fear of winning. The reason why that's the most fearful thing, it's not even the fear of losing, because fear of losing, we can just say, oh yeah, I've been losing. It's in alignment to all the stories that I've said, the limitations that I've created on myself. I'm not afraid to be those things because it's my story. I've already accepted that to be, and I talk about it, and I talk about the lack, the limitations, the fears that I have. See, this is the stories and the traumas that we carry with us. The reason why I am not this is because of this. The reason why I'm reacting this way is because of things in the past. We're okay with that. But what we're not okay with is winning and redemption, because that means all those stories might not be so true. See, we are actually much more afraid that we might actually be greater than we are. Because that means all the stories that I've held, I have to let go of. So then we must be prioritizing something more than our own happiness and our own success. We must be valuing being in control and being right about something. And so the Course is showing us how do we unpackage and undo these things. That's why the Holy Spirit is with us. The point of the Holy Spirit, according to the Course, A Course in Miracles, is that Holy Spirit is just a teacher. It's a voice that reminds you and calls you home. It's literally just a voice. It remembers the truth of who you are, and it knows that it's got to meet you where you're at. So the Course isn't about believing in God or having any religious practices or anything. A Course in Miracles is literally to guide you to finding that voice in you, the teacher in yourself, that you may walk through this life being blessed, knowing that you never walk alone, that there is always a shield of love around you, that you can never be hurt, that there is nothing to be afraid of. So that's a reminder for ourselves. Right? So the Course says, love is beyond what can be taught. However, I'm going to give you these two things, and you find your way home. Love is beyond what can be taught. However, it does aim at removing the blockages to the awareness of love. The entire Course is to help you find all the walls and all the blockages that you've built against the truth of who you are. And then you get to make a choice. Do I want to keep those things? Do I want to keep all the barriers and the stories that I've built around my heart? That the world isn't safe, that people aren't safe? Do I want more of those things? Because the Course is showing us, and this is what we do on here every call. Heavy is the crown. Um, the Course is showing us, right, that you have two choices. Do you want to keep these barriers, these stories, and keep the limitations and play in this place of fear and continue the cycle of attack and defense and judgment and anger? Because you can feel free to play in that, but the purpose of all those things is for you to see where the walls and the blockages are. All things in our life, when perceived correctly, is an opportunity and a teaching, a lesson for us to look at those things. What still has me? What still has me living in fear and choosing from fear? So then the Course in the introduction continues to say that the opposite of love is fear. Oh, okay, now we're back to this. But, however, what is all encompassing can have no opposites. Oh, wait, so is there fear or is there not fear? So that's the question that poses here for us today. And we get to look at these two things. Now, when we read the two emotions, okay, that means these are two things that we get to choose. And hopefully in our call here today, we start to simplify our own lives. What I mean by that is not just simplifying all the circumstances and things around us. And yes, we call for that. Right? A lot of us call for that. We are trapped into this world of money and circumstances and all these things, but we really crave this simple things to be more simple. Right? We really just want to be on the beach and be in paradise or wherever it is that without all the chaos and the noise and all the stress that we've actually created ourselves. We've designed our life. And so I wrote something in the email that I sent out to everybody. And literally it's what did I put? I love the email. Thank you. Literally, we are not victims, right? And we get to choose ourselves of the world that we want to create. And yeah. All emotions arise from either truth or illusion. So hopefully our call here today is thanks. Our everything comes from two emotions, love and fear. Now we're going to discover and we're going to go a little bit deeper on what that really means, because it's from truth or illusion. When I say truth or illusion, love is truth, fear is illusions, but you get to decide this for yourselves, right? We are not victims to how we feel. Now, oftentimes we do that. We perceive something from the world. We have a certain reaction and feeling around it. And then we think that our reaction is to what we just perceived. But the Course teaches us that it's flipped. If you want peace, you must flip that whole equation upside down, that we are the author of what we chose to feel. So projection makes the perception. What we project is what we really perceive back. Okay, just try to understand and grasp that in your life. It's not that we perceive something and then we react and project back out, because that's what we think we do. But what we actually do is we make something real in my mind, in your mind first, and then we choose to see that, and we look for evidence of what we have made real in our minds. That's why it's also a waste of time to debate with somebody, because anything you debate, you can find at least two different stances on it. So what's the point? Why even debate? The more we attack and the more we defend, the more we entrench the other side. The only way to bring somebody to see that we can ever agree on together is love. It's compassion and understanding. That is natural for all of us. We can agree on that when we feel that. But anything else that you debate creates just more conflict. I have an interesting story, an incident that happened the other day, and it's funny because I look at everything through the lenses of A Course in Miracles and what's wanting to be taught to me. And on these calls, I talk a lot about how when I'm driving, I used to once upon a time have a lot of road rage, especially if somebody cuts me off or honks. You know, I literally have thoughts of like violence sometimes. And I grew up in a way that I chose to physically get into altercations all the time. I was, from a very young age, like my dad was in a gang in Taiwan. So, you know, I was around guns, knives, and fights all the time. So, of course, naturally, I learned that, and that's how I met conflict my whole life. So, A Course in Miracles has really changed. A Course in Miracles plus some other natural remedies and medicines that have changed me forever. Now, they still show up, but I don't attack it. I actually laugh at it, and it allows it to dissolve. Laughter dissolves all of these things. So here I go. I thought I was done with road raging. You know, I brag about it on here. I'm like, man, people cut me off. I don't even see it. I don't even notice it. You know, people in the passenger seat sometimes will get upset, and I'm still like, yeah, you know, I don't even notice these things. However, I was tested the other day because we went, you know, I was meeting with some friends, and usually if you put yourself in a pressure cooker situation, you'll find your reactions very quickly. So I was supposed to meet somebody at 4:30. Now I have a story that I'm never late. So I'm there early, and just happens we're playing pickleball. Okay, so it's not really that serious, but yes, it's very serious. So I'm at the park, and you know, we're supposed to meet at 4:00, and I get there. There happens to be this lunch truck, like these food things that were in this park. So there's no parking. I'm driving around now for 15 minutes. I'm already late. I'm like, man, I'm late. You know, I got this whole story of myself being late and not being my word. Anyways, so I tell them like, hey, I'm still looking for parking. They're like, oh, us too. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, I got this idea. I'm just going to be calm right now, and I'm just going to sit here in this parking lot and just not move until somebody walks up, and I'm just going to follow them. I'm like, I'm a genius. So I sit there and I wait. And somebody walks up. I'm like, yes. So he's walking to his car. And he gets into his car, and he pulls out in such a way that it blocks me for a second, and somebody else pulls in and takes a spot. Oof. I know everybody knows what they would feel if that came up. I sat there for about 3 minutes behind his car. He didn't get out of his car. There was lots of thoughts that came into my mind that were actually really insane. All the way from keying his car to actually just fighting him on the spot. Yes. So our thoughts, but this is insane. This is what the chorus calls insanity. So I'm sitting there doing my prayer. I'm like, God, show me a different way to look at this. Just I can see peace and I can laugh instead of this. But why do I see red, and why is there so much anger that come up? Around it. Like why would this person do that? Like, what goes through somebody's mind to go and do that? Right? So it was something that I just didn't understand for a little bit while I was sitting there in my blockage. And then finally, the prayer worked. I started laughing at myself for being so insane. I'm like, man, I can't wait to share this on A Course in Miracles, because literally right before that, somebody had messaged me, and she's not here right now. She missed this message. Okay. But anyways, calling out to my little sis, Tasnova. She goes, oh man, how did you become such a light in this world? How do you are just so calm about everything, and then after that this event happens, and so I'm just laughing now at the humor of life, right? Like literally, like insanity. Our minds are insane now. We just get to laugh at this. If we can, the sooner we laugh about something, the sooner we let that go. Right? Because when things are funny and we laugh at it, we can let it go. It doesn't grab on to us. So anyways, just wanted to share that story of my my hilarious encounter with myself at the pickleball park. Okay, I'm going to open it up. I feel like there might be some shares. Anybody feeling called to share anything? And hello, welcome everyone.
Yes.
I knew it. I felt it. Talk
Hey
to me.
Alex, you're so cute because I'm sitting here like thinking, I'm like, God, he's a lot like me. I don't get as angry, but bro, come to Texas. Like they literally the Wild Wild West here, coming from California, which is heavily regulated, which I actually have a new appreciation for now. In Texas, people run red lights, they run stop signs. I see fatal accidents on a weekly basis. I've seen two in the last 2 weeks within a mile of my house. You do not go on green. You wait 5 seconds because motherfuckers haul ass and they don't care. They don't care. I'm like, what the fuck? And people are in motorcycles everywhere. No helmet. Cool. You want to kill yourself, bro? Do you, boo? But stop at a red light. And after my accident in September 21st, with me and my 13-year-old, where it was really bad. We were total smashed in, couldn't get out of the car. I shared this before. We're kind of still in recovery. And now I have this anxiety driving. And I have to tell myself, be cool, be cool, be cool. But when I see all these people running red lights, running the stop sign when it's my turn, I'm like, God damn it, motherfucker! And I'm like, ugh. But my daughter's in the car. I learned but there's times I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm already in the middle of the intersection. I waited 5 to 8 seconds. Okay, are y'all done running red lights? Can I go now? And go through these intersections. Plus, there's construction in every freaking city, bro. Congratulations, Texas. I think it's a world record. Every effing city I go to now. And people are confused. So they're hauling ass, and that's another thing. I don't care about speeding and hauling ass. That's great. But get the F off your phone if you're going to do it. Okay? Like on the freeway, that's fine. Go 80. I'm all cool with that. Fine. But don't be on your phone, dude. And it just tests me. So I'm listening to you say this, and I am laughing here as I'm like loading up the laundry, trying to get some things done this morning. And I'm like, dude. And I tell myself, like, bro, you have to be calm. And ACIM myself as well. I'm like, bro, remember, you're supposed to be checking yourself. And I have a 13-year-old that has anxiety really bad after this accident. And so she feels that energy. So I'm just telling you, if you really want to test your ACIM skills, y'all come to Texas and drive here because it is like nothing I've ever experienced. Like, oh my God, and kids, I feel like I'm in Mexico. Like, they don't always wear car seats. You're at a stoplight or a stop sign and you see like there's little hooligans running around in the back of an SUV. I'm like, bruh, put your fucking seatbelts on. But not my kids. Stay in my lane. Mind your business. But I'm looking at the parents like, bro, what is wrong with you? Like, what the holy hell are you thinking? You're not safe. And apparently, I need to get out of this thing where my expectations of other people, like what they think is safe and they're okay with, like I don't, I need to just whatever, stay in my lane, protect my peace and my family and my kids. But Texas is very different. It's literally the Wild Wild West, and I've told you all this before. The culture shock coming from a blue state to a red state, and how you get to do whatever the f you want, and some people just don't care. And I think I care too much, and I need to scale it back. If it's not about my family, my money, my investments, I need to just stay in my lane and not let people get underneath my skin. But I can empathize with you in regards to waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. This happened to me in Trader Joe's a few weeks ago, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, finally. And I never go on a weekend. I know better. Why put myself in the position to go to Costco or Trader Joe's or any of these places on a weekend? It's stupid, right? Right. Well, my kids wanted to go. And that exact thing happened to me. I'm like, what the fuck? And I did drop an F bomb in front of my kids. And they're like, God, Mom. I was like, never mind, I'm good. I'll just park fucking the 2 miles over here, which is what I had to do. And I'm like, it's okay, girls. It's a beautiful day. We're getting our steps in, y'all. And they're just like looking at me.
Yeah.
So I can empathize. The short of the long story I just told you, I can empathize, and I tell myself, like, Brooke, watch your mouth. Words have power. Be chill, be cool, be the light, be the love. Don't assume ill will. It is a constant battle I have with myself every day. And then I get put in a driving situation here in Texas, and I fucking want to murder everybody. I'm like, ah! So I
Yeah.
understand, and I am working on it.
So,
So
um,
appreciate it.
yeah, I love it. Thank you for your enthusiastic share all the time. When I'm listening to this too, like, think about, and I know you know this, that your daughter's watching, and
Right.
learning from your reactions too, right? So the way also, not that I'm advising or anything, but the way that we can communicate even that, right? Because these things come up. The question from A Course in Miracles is always, what is it for? It's not bad that you're reacting that way. It's not bad that you curse or swear in front of them, right? But what is it for? What's the purpose? How can we make this a holy purpose, right? All things are encompassed by love, regardless of what you think, right? So now in this moment, what is the opportunity, right? Because as a kid that is internalizing what you're doing and how your reactions are,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what they'll carry into the future. However, if you
Right.
can share with her your process, right, then she might be able to understand it instead of interpreting it on her own, right, from her place of confusion, of because unknowingly she is learning love or fear right now, right? These
Correct.
two emotions. So as you can explain that process as well, and say, like, it's just, it's funny, right? Don't, like, because that type of reaction, think about, like, she starts reacting this way to everything in the future, and it's like, oh well, my mom was just like a spaz the whole time, right?
All of
Versus
them are driving. Like most of the time, I'm pretty level,
yeah, yeah,
But when I'm driving, it's like here in Texas, I didn't used to be like that, but now I'm like, oh my gosh. But I am better since the Course in Miracles the last few years of quickly recognizing my behavior
yeah,
and putting a stop to it and kind of saying, hey, sorry about that. Like, look
yeah,
at this, look at this, and then seeing it from a positive perspective, because I want my daughters to know that it's okay to feel your feelings, but don't be marinated in them, and don't like dwell in them for a long period of time. Try to bounce back quickly and recognize the behavior, whether it's right or wrong, and how can you look at it from a different perspective. So that is a big progression every day.
yeah, because there's only one thing that really matters. It's the example and the demonstration, right? Like, what are you teaching is the only thing that really matters. That means every situation in our life is an opportunity for us to demonstrate and teach love. Everything. So especially if you get to do it in the presence of people that you love the most, right? Like, how you show up, how compassionate you are with the world and with yourself. Oh my God, there I go again, right? Instead of them holding on to this and they choose where in life they get to be like shortfalling with their fuse and then blame their upbringing, right? Because that's just a natural thing for an insane mind to do. Now, the sharing and then the teaching of, oh my God, there I go again, like making it like a lesson, right? And of compassion and of kindness and of love, like that's what they'll take on as you have to reinforce it more, right? Because it's like in our crazy world, we're being tempted into fear and material things and scarcity all the time. So the love itself is a shifting in our mind, and it requires more constant reminders because there are more reminders of fear and scarcity and loss and limitations out there, right? We're always being presented with this opportunity. So to practice love is what we get to feed more into, and we get to teach. Okay, awesome. Anybody else want to share anything? Okay, well, I'm going to get into the read here. It's not a long read, but it's longer than the last one. So let me just kind of debrief the function of time before, this is what we went through on Sunday's call. What is the purpose of time, right? So we will interpret the function of time. If you accept your function in the world of time as one of healing, you will emphasize only that the aspect of time in which healing can occur. Healing cannot be accomplished in the past. It must be accomplished in the present to release the future. This interpretation ties the future to the present, extends the present rather than the past. So we're talking about time, right? The past actually, the only truth about the past is that the past does not exist right now, the past. But what the ego does is the ego takes the past and then tries to skip the present, because in the present, true present, there's no past, and the ego doesn't exist. So if we want our future to be different, then in this present moment with no past, we can be whatever we want. Our possibilities are endless. We can let go of every single story that we've ever held. Every excuse we ever made, we can forgive. Everything and everyone that ever wronged us or that we've wronged others doesn't exist. See, in that present moment, that's a possibility. That's the holy instant when we have that single moment of clarity where we are the innocent child of God. Now, very quickly, the ego comes back and goes, oh, but what about all those things? Oh, back to the past. See, if the present can be absent in the timeline, that's what the ego wants. We go from past to future. Right in the middle right where present is, if we can compress that to almost nothing, then the ego can keep us in confusion and worries and fears and regrets constantly. And in that, there is no healing. Healing only ever happens right here, right now, in this moment. It's a choice in this moment to let go of the past and to free the future. So the function of time, like all teachers, everything is a teacher, is a teaching, is to render itself unnecessary. So this is a great lesson right here for all of us that are coaches and teachers and mentors, and you all are. Every single person is a teacher. You're a teacher and a student at the same time. But the purpose of a teacher or a teaching is to render itself unnecessary. See, that's egoless. And when we see out there in the world there's a lot of ego, we make everything more complicated, more complex, so that people have to pay more money to learn, something that is actually really simple. Make the whole world more complex. Think about, our world rests on that. Why are legal things so long? Why does the SEC and the IRS have crazy things all contradicting itself and then contradicting it, and then the loopholes and then it creates this job for someone that can interpret it, and this interpretation is actually just based off of past cases. It's crazy. The the entanglement that we've created and the confusion and conflict that we've created for ourselves in this world. So the purpose of time and the purpose of anything is to render itself unnecessary. Imagine this. Laws that are created. Is the purpose of laws is to take it to get to a place where laws are necessary. That's an interesting one. And we're like, oh man, I'm scared of the world, of what that will look like. Imagine there were no laws. Where does your mind go to? This would be the ultimate test. If there were no laws and no rules, are you more afraid of the world or what? See, most of that's how we can see, like, do we have enough faith? If we took all laws out, everything in this world has shown us that people ultimately cannot be trusted. And A Course in Miracles in our practice here is to strengthen that faith over and over in the presence of all the adversity and fear. Like, what would that look like? And the only thing that comes to my mind is I think about Mad Max. I think about Walking Dead. And then I look at some of the characters in there, right? Of people that never lost their faith in people. And then the ones that are, that break trust to gain something. Right? So we want to think about life like that. And we are presented with that opportunity all the time. Last night we were doing a group coaching call on real estate. I do a real estate call on Tuesday nights. So somebody was asking about how her general contractor screwed her over. And she's going to file this lawsuit and all these things. And so I just posed a question, what's your goal here? Right? And first it was to save money, or first it was to get right. Right? Like we get to be right about it, and it's on principle. I'm like, okay, so you want to be right about it, but what's the ultimate outcome? Well, the outcome is I want to get this deal done and I want to actually make money. Oh, okay, so then that's more important. But which one is it? Because those are two conflicting things. If you want to get right, then it's not about getting the deal done. It's not about getting that done. So we create so much conflict in our own life. Confusion, right? And then I was like, okay, well, if it's to save the most amount of money, and what if that path is to create a new win-win and you actually have to give this GC more money to get this done? What if that could be a scenario? And it's hard for us to be compassionate to what the other person's going through, especially if we feel like we were a victim of something. But can we still choose love? Because I shared a story of exactly that for me. I was doing a ground up build. It's supposed to cost $325,000 to build. It ended up costing almost $600,000 to build. And during that time, my faith was constantly tested. I was like, I lost my peace sometimes, right? But I was proud of. I told her on the call. I was like, she's like, I don't really share this because I feel embarrassed sharing it. I'm like, first, I acknowledge, thank you for sharing that in the group, and the group feeling safe enough to do. But second, the embarrassment about this isn't that you weren't as rigorous with the draws and the money and checking up on a GC. When you look back at this one day, it's how you respond to this whole situation. How you responded to it is what you're going to feel proud of or not. So one day when you look back, what would be the outcome that you would feel most proud of? We can't look at that a lot of times, right? So I also... And this is for experience from me, because I was ready to rip my GC's head off during that time. I was like, dude, when we were 20% over budget, I was like, that is insane. I was like, we should not be going this far over budget. and time. So then it went to 100% over budget. I was losing it. But along the way, I was like, okay, what's the best way for us to get this done? What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Right? I was still just like, I understand. I'm trying to understand that you had some mess ups with your subcontractors and somebody else screwed you over. Fine. All the excuses. I understand that. So I kept meeting it. And then finally we got it done. And we actually still made money off of it. Thank God. But I was just proud of the fact that I didn't just like chop this guy's head off, and try to go find, because then we might still have that property, right? Ultimately, love always invites the right things back in. And as you show compassion, show love constantly over and over, people will respond to that, right? Unless you just believe that love can't reach some people's hearts, then that's an interpretation and perception that you get to heal. Anyways, that was what time? We're talking about time. Okay, so time, healing only can happen right now in this moment. And when it heals in this moment, your future is freed from this past chain. So in the present moment is the only time that healing happens. It's not going backwards to work on the past and all that. And yes, you get to think about the past and you get to repackage, unpackage some things in the past. But ultimately, there's just this present moment, this one moment that you get to choose to let that go. The ego wants to skip that. The ego's like, go from past to future, past to future. That way you can just live in this loophole. And all people in Texas can't drive. And Texas is unsafe. Right? That will be your reality forever. Past to future, past to future, past to future. Is there another scenario? Is there another thought system, belief that could be instilled in this time? That would only happen in the present. Right? So that was the function of time, is to teach us about the present. And so now we're going to go through the two emotions. And then after that, on Sunday this week, we will go into finding the present, which, I can't wait, because apparently I'm looking back into the book. Almost every single line is underlined. Almost every line is underlined. So I'm excited to get back to finding the present. Okay. So yeah, we've started and shared a lot, or I've shared a lot. I've talked a lot, but A Course of Miracles is something I'm super passionate about, and it's a life practice for me. And so I'm just very grateful and glad to be sharing this with you all here. So again, thank you for spending this time with me. It's like, man, an hour and a half to sit here and spend and listen to somebody. It's a lot. It means a lot, because I'm thinking about who I can actually sit here week in, week out for an hour and a half listening to. Besides A Course of Miracles. So I really, it means a lot, to see some of you guys on here every single call. I know what it takes. I know what that means, All right. So chapter 13, section 5, we are on the two emotions. And as we begin this read here, let's collectively take all things of the past, even what we talked about on this call, and just wrap it up, put it aside, and let's bring our mind to a place of receiving, and let yourself be present enough to receive what is going to be read here. And see if you can find something. Set the intention to find something that you can take. What's the gift for you in this read here today? So here we go. The two emotions. I have said you have but two emotions, love and fear. One is changeless but continually exchanged, being offered by the eternal to the eternal. In this exchange, it is extended, for it increases as it is given. The other has many forms, for the content of the individual illusions differ greatly. See, this is when I started this call by asking how many emotions do we have? And typically, it's the fear emotion that has a lot of different masks. It wears a lot of different masks. So the other has many forms, for the content of individual illusions differ greatly. Yet they have one thing in common. They are all insane. They are all made of sights that are not seen and sounds that are not heard. They make up a private world that cannot be shared, for they are meaningful only to their maker, and so they have no meaning at all. In this world, their maker makes moves alone, and only he perceives them. Each one peoples his world with figures from his individual past, and it is because of this that private worlds do differ. Yet the figures that he sees were never real, for they are made up only of his reactions to his brothers, and do not include their reactions to him. Therefore he does not see he made them, and they are not whole, for these figures have no witnesses, being perceived in one separate mind only. It is through these strange and shadowy figures that the insane relate to their insane world, for they see only who remind them of these images, and it is to them that they relate. Thus do they communicate with those who are not there, and it is they who answer them. And no one hears their answer. No one hears their answer save him who call upon them, and he alone believes they answered him. Projection makes perception. And you cannot see beyond it. Again and again have you attacked your brother because you saw him in a shadowy figure in your private world. And thus it is you must attack yourself first. For what you attack is not in others. Its only reality is in your own mind, and by attacking others, you are literally attacking what is not there. The delusional can be very destructive, for they do not recognize they have condemned themselves. They do not wish to die, yet they will not let condemnation go. And so they separate into their private worlds where everything is disordered, and where what is within appears to be without. Yet what is within they do not see, for the reality of their brothers they cannot recognize. You have but two emotions, yet in your private world you react to each of them as if they were the other. For love cannot abide in a world apart, where when it comes it is not recognized. If you see your own hatred as your brother, you're not seeing him. Everyone draws nigh onto what he loves, and recoils from what he fears. And you react with fear to love and draw away from it. Yet fear attracts you, and believing it is love, you call it to yourself. Your private world is filled with figures of fear you have invited into, and all the love your brothers offer you, you do not see. As you look with your eyes upon the world, it must occur to you that you have withdrawn into insanity. You see what is not there, and you hear what makes no sound. Your manifestations of emotions are the opposite of what the emotions are. You communicate with no one, and you are as isolated from reality as if you were alone in all of the universe. In your madness, you overlook reality completely, and you see only your own split mind everywhere you look. God calls to you, and you do not hear, for you are preoccupied with your own voice. And the vision of Christ is not in your sight, for you look upon yourself alone. Little child, would you offer this to your Father? For if you offered it to yourself, you are offering it to him. And he will not return it, for it is unworthy of you because it is unworthy of him. Yet he will release you from it and set you free. His saying answers tells you what you have offered yourself is not true, but his offering to you has never changed. You who do not know what you do not you who know not what you do can learn to what insanity is and look beyond it. It is given you to learn how to deny insanity and come forth from your private world in peace. You will see all that you denied in your brothers because you denied it in yourself. For you will love them, and by drawing nigh unto them, you will draw them to yourself, perceiving them as witnesses to the reality you share with God. I am with them as I am with you, and we will draw them from the private worlds. For as we are united, so will we unite with them. The Father welcomes all of us in gladness, and gladness is what we should offer him. For every son of God is given you to whom God gave himself, and it is God whom you must offer them to recognize the gifts to you. Vision depends on light. You cannot see in darkness, yet in darkness, in the private world you sleep, you see in dreams, although your eyes are closed. And it is here that what you see you made. But let the darkness go, and all you made you will no longer see. For sight depends on the denying upon. For sight of it depends upon denying vision. Yet from denying vision, it does not allow you to see. But this is what denial does. For by it you accept insanity, believing you can make a private world and rule your own perceptions. Yet for this, light must be excluded. Dreams disappear when light has come and you can see. Do not seek vision through your eyes, for you made your own way, for you made your way of seeing that you see in the darkness, and in this you are deceived. Beyond this darkness, and yet still within you, is the vision of Christ, who looks on all in light. Your vision comes from fear, as his from love, and he sees you for you as your witness to the real world. He is the Holy Spirit's manifestation, looking always on the real world and calling forth his witnesses and drawing them to you. He loves what he sees within you, and he would extend it, and he will not return unto the Father until he has extended your perception even unto him. And there perception is no more, for he has returned to you to the Father with him. You but have two emotions, and one you made, and one was given you. Each is a way of seeing. The different worlds arise from their different sights. See through the vision that is given you, for through Christ's vision he beholds himself. And seeing what he is, he knows his Father. Beyond your darkest dreams, he sees God's guiltless Son within you, shining in perfect radiance that is undimmed by your dreams. And this you will see as you look with him, for his vision is his gift of love to you, given him of the Father for you. The Holy Spirit is the light in which Christ stands revealed. And all who will behold him can see him, for they have asked for light. Nor will they see him alone, for he is no more alone than they are. Because they saw the Son, they have risen in him to the Father. And all this will they understand, because they look within and saw beyond the darkness the Christ in them, and recognized him. In the insanity of his vision, they look upon themselves with love, seeing themselves as the Holy Spirit sees them. And with this vision of truth in them came all beauty of the world to shine upon them. So that is the two emotions. Now, I don't know why that was kind of such a hard read for me for a second, for moments in there. I think my mind got distracted. I was reading. But the two emotions, one is the one that we made. We made it. And because we made it, we value it and we keep it. But that one, in here, the Course is saying that it is part of your dream. You are seeing nightmare, and your physical eyes are only bringing pictures into your mind in which you believe is real. The world is reaffirming what you believe the world to be. So if you believe that Texas is full of insane people and people can't drive in Texas, then that is what you will continue to only see with your physical eyes. Now, to see with your spiritual eyes, to see the Christ consciousness and the compassion in everything and everyone, all of a sudden the world starts to change. You start to only see the people that actually stop at red lights. You start to see the people that are driving without being on their phone. You start to see the kids that have their seatbelts on, right? Because that is happening, but we just don't see that. Right? So think about what we allow to enter into our minds. There is a you are the gatekeeper of this stuff. And the two emotions, like the emotions itself is a feedback to which of these two you are looking and listening from. Go ahead, Jill. Jill, you had your hand up. Any other thoughts and questions? What's alive in you in this moment? What did you guys hear about this section? Any ideas, thoughts? We basically, oh, Michelle, go ahead.
Hi, I hope I have okay reception. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you perfect.
Awesome. Hi, good morning. I'm listening to the read today. I wanted to just share my heart space. I've been really good at hiding when I'm in pain. And so I go and I disappear like a little hermit and I do my energy work and I do my best to come back. But sometimes with some pain, it took me a while to show back up. And in the
Mm.
last year and a half, I've just really had a tough time, but also an amazing time, a lot of growth. And I had an opportunity to love this little baby black cat that someone left me on my desk. And I never thought I would love a cat. And I never thought I wanted a cat. And someone left me this kitten. And she just changed my whole world. Like the days that I was having a third eye attack, she would help me. I just had the best time with her. And I loved her so much. Everyone said, don't let a cat be indoor and outdoor. And I decided I wanted her to be able to be indoor and outdoor. I wanted her to be free, but they said it's dangerous. And anyway, so she had an Apple tag on her, and she's been now gone. I think she's passed away. Um, uh, we currently have plumbers coming to look under the house because I think she got in a cat fight with some of the stray cats that were around. But I, um, I'm honored and grateful that she reminded me how powerful I am in my love energy. And I'm doing my best to just keep a really positive spirit, but it really hit my heart. I've had a lot of death in my life. Just, it's been nonstop. Even my family and my parents talk about it. It's like best friends, boyfriends. It's just, and it makes me feel really dark. And I know I'm not dark. I know I'm one of the lights of this world. And my heart is just sad for my little friend that I lost. So
Mm.
I wanted to share that today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's definitely something that's really hard. I think I saw an Instagram video of like it's funny, like dog owners or pet owners, like sometimes we'll go and like hug our dogs and cats like like they're dying or something, because we know their life is so much shorter than ours. And I realize I do it all the time. Like I'll just like go and just like my dog's like, "What are you doing?" And I just I just like hug it like I'm about to like lose her or something, and yeah, it's really tough, but these are lessons in our mind. Like when we think of something as a body, it always leads to pain and suffering, right? If we think about the cat as just the body and the physical manifestation, then it will always lead to pain and suffering. But if we can think about it as a thought and a spirit and an idea, then it always lives on forever. And yeah.
That's just to touch on that. That has been the funnest part of this, is having her little cat spirit in my energy field, little Piperi infinity, still doing the same energy work. I'm just not physically present, but yeah, she's such a sweet angel. So
Yeah. And like we can and then as we see everything beyond the body, all of a sudden that cat's going to come back to you in something different, in a different form, right? But as we start to see everything as love, we can break beyond the body, and we can and all beings and energies are all encompassed by love. And I know like we're all going to experience loss, but what is it for? Right? What is the point of experiencing physical loss of things? Right? And everything leads to, like, you need to experience these things so that you will choose love in heaven. The more you place value in physical bodies and material things, the more you will take a deep dive. Now, if you can start to choose Christ's vision, that means seeing with your spiritual eyes, you start to look beyond it. And you see the real purpose behind those things is to show you the light and show you the love which is within you, that you can choose it, that you have the power to see beyond all anybody's words. Nothing can add to you, nothing can take away from you. You start to see your wholeness. But when we lose something, we're like, oh, that's a piece of me that's gone. But that physical thing being gone is a reminder that you never had any lack in the first place if you look at it with the right perception. So it's hard, and sending you lots of love, and here for you if you need to talk about anything and ever. So yeah, Kat. Hey, Kat.
I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. Hello.
My camera, I had to turn it off because there's people working in the background at my house, and I had to go downstairs. So I'm sorry about that. If
No,
it's loud,
you're
I
fine.
apologize.
Nope.
But I think I needed to hear this today. I haven't ever been to one of your Course in Miracles. I go to your Monday sometimes. It's been a while because it's kind of weird that I think her name was Michelle, the person that was before me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she spoke like what I was thinking. I've kind of been in a deep depression because I lost 4 people that were very, very important to me. My father, 2 of my best friends, and then another friend that was just a kind of an acquaintance, all in a matter of like each month, back to back. And so I just kind of I don't know, I threw my hands up in the air and was like, what is going on? Am I like this person that's attracting like some dark energy? Like, do I have something that's like a curse on me or something like that? But then hearing what you're saying, or hearing what you were speaking about today, really struck a chord with me, because I realized, I know this is kind of going like left, but there was this dog. I'm an animal lover, and someone did something very horrible to an animal and dumped it in my neighborhood. And we've been trying to find the person that did this, right? So it's crazy, but I go on Instagram, and the same type of behavior, somebody was doing this to this other dog, and they were showing it. And I was like, oh my God. So it kind of goes hand in hand with like what you say, like what we project is what we perceive. So if I am thinking that death is all around me, and that, there's all this, if that's what I think, then not that I'm attracting that, but I'm saying that I can stay in a very dark space.
Mm.
So until I choose to see something different, I'm going to keep seeing bad stuff. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yes.
I hope I am.
No, you're making complete sense. And that is, that is you becoming aware that you have just two choices, right? And they're all, whatever you choose is really going to fall under, either you're going to choose from a place of fear, you can call it anything else, or you can choose from a place of love, which you can also choose gratitude, compassion. Those are all kind of the same frequency. All right, so you only really have two choices to look at your life and look at anything. And if you make a decision, right, from the place of fear, you will create more chaos for yourself. And that will just continue to be drawn back into your vision, because, again, we make something real in our mind and then we project it out, and then that's all we will see. All right, we don't actually see 99.9% of the things that are happening in front of us. We only choose a portion of it that's real in our mind, and we just keep seeing that. So the going back to our fears, right? Our greatest fear is not that we see the things that we choose to see, because that's actually what is real in our mind. So we like it. We're comfortable and we want to see that. We want to be right. That's more important. But what we're actually afraid of is that, what if we chose something else and everything that I chose before doesn't exist anymore? Then who am I without all that? Who am I without my philosophy and my take on things? Who am I without this job or this career? Who am I if I showed up differently and I stopped talking about attack and judgments? Who would that be? What would people think about me? Right? So everything comes, fear just goes down this rabbit hole of fear. And really, we're afraid of our own death, but we choose condemnation constantly. We really choose a path to death consistently, so that, if we really wanted something different, then we can say, okay, because I created all of this, all these thoughts and all these, and how I react to everything and the stories I made up, because I created it, I know I'm going to value it. That means I cannot get myself out of it, right? The solution is not going to come from the same insane thinking that the question and the problem came from. So then we must ask for help. And this is the purpose of all of these things that come up for us, is that you must turn to the Holy Spirit or your inner teacher, or to a guide that is wiser, right? You can call it whatever you want, but it's just faith. It's to deepen your faith so that you believe there is another possibility and that something else is in charge instead of you. And when we finally give that over, the lightness and the ease that we can feel, that, wow, I can actually choose to see love instead of fear now, right? And that's what this is all about, is so that we can find love and God again.
Gosh. I'm telling you, this is so crazy that I'm like listening to, like, you don't even understand like what all just has come up in my life. Fuck. Like, I have been seriously walking around like negative Nancy, like thinking I need to pose my negativeness on people, like speaking about all the fucked up shit in the world, right? Why do I think I need to tell people this stuff? Like, you're sitting here talking, I'm like, oh my God. I remember when I used to do that with Jessica. I remember when I used to, like, telling people, just crazy stuff. Like, it's stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
But why do I think I need to tell people these negative things? Like, I don't want to be that person and then have them living in fear. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, like, wow. I just
Oh.
realized a lot. Like, that's just, no, I'm serious. Like, and today I was like, oh, I have these people coming to work on my house. Like, I don't want to like start the meeting and then it'd be loud. And I was like, no, you need to go. You've never been. You need to go to this meeting. It's popping up on your phone for a reason. You're home. Go to it. Like, go to the meeting. Open the Zoom. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
beautiful.
boom. Yeah. Thank you, Alex. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much, and it's so good to see you. I know you were on video for a little bit, so I got a chance to see, you on here, and and like I feel like the people that show up onto this call, you guys, even just your presence, you guys are taking the call in a certain direction, and I'm just here studying A Course in Miracles, and the course is always teaching us the same thing. We just get to have these different scenarios and different live examples come up. So first of all, thank you so much for sharing and speaking up on your first call here. Sometimes it takes people like 9 calls to speak. So love it. Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope to continue to see you on here because, what you shared, I feel like the conversation has been, it's supportive to this whole conversation. I'm sure just like how Michelle shared, and then all of a sudden you got something from it, and then you share, and then I'm sure other people here are like, wow, yeah, that now I understand it more because you guys are giving real life examples. So thank you.
Have you ever gotten like, how they say you get butterflies in your stomach or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I don't know, I know you're spiritual, duh, but
Spiritual
like,
duh.
okay, so like when I do Reiki sometimes, like
Mm-hmm.
when you're moving energy around, you can feel the energy shifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you were talking and just now, I had like this feeling like they're like in the pit of my stomach, like, and to me that's the spirit, like, like it's like putting its hand in my soul, in my stomach, and making me all warm and fuzzy inside, saying, okay, come out of that shit. You got this. You're strong enough. You got me. Lean on me. Surrender. All that goodness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
thank you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And as I I think us as human beings, like that pit feeling, like we should nurture and cultivate that more, right? It's the listening part. It's like, oh wait, this part of my body and this thing actually helps me recognize when truth shows up, whenever that shows up. I feel I'm in the presence of truth and light.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel that too. So sometimes when I think about Reiki and I think about the moving around of energy, like the things are always already moving. You're not controlling or moving anything. You're just actually moving with the flow of energy. And through that, you are actually a clear channel without your own agenda, right? I believe this healing and a lot of people that have experienced like the best energy workers are the ones that just tap into what already is.
Mm-hmm.
And you just start to move with the world. And then as you help people accept that, it's the resistances and the blockages that create our sicknesses and illnesses. So if you can move forward with life, then you're inviting them to move with you through the perceived blockages that aren't really actually there. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
No, thank you.
Cool. And welcome to the
Thank you.
to the community. And hey Jill, are you ready?
Yeah, I couldn't unmute myself because I don't have my computer today and I couldn't work it properly. But yeah, thank you, Alex. Thanks everybody for sharing. I'm going to bring it down to a much more mundane level. I'm going to bring it the same stuff, but on a very mundane level, and that is parking. So in our little town, right now they're trying to foist a parking garage on our community, and they've spit out a narrative that there's no parking, that there's a parking problem in our town. There isn't. And if you go to the town and you're thinking that there's a parking problem in the town, there'll be a parking problem. you will manifest a parking problem, I guarantee you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the town and you don't think that there's a parking problem, there won't be a parking problem. So they foisted this on the community, and now they're planning to give away $20 million worth of real estate. Alex, you used to have property here in Lake Worth.
Yes.
And $20 million worth of real estate to a developer from New York, a slumlord. They're going to give him property. And so anyway, on April 22nd, I'm organizing which is Earth Day, a protest, and so to speak. And it's going to be a tree planting protest. And Lisa Renee is going to sing there, and Johan's going to play there. And a load of people from our community are going to participate. And we're going to plant trees on the designated parking lot. They're not going to know about it, but it's going to be called, I call it guerrilla gardening. And I'm calling it Lake Earth Day. It's Earth Day, so I'm calling it Lake Earth Day. Our town is called Lake Worth. And that happened because as I was dictating into my telephone, instead of writing down Lake Earth, it wrote Lake Earth. And it heard me say Lake Earth. So I'm like, oh, that's cool, Lake Earth.
Yeah.
Lake Earth Day. And so it's going to turn into a movement. And I can feel it. It's like the energy is growing. It's what I've been talking about for most of my life, about how to build sustainably. And we've thwarted off a 42 townhouse development. We can thwart off a $20 million parking garage apartment complex and museum. And all the energy in the world is just going to flow towards us to make this happen. And the other thing I noticed is that even within my group of people, we've been meeting for the last 6 years, but I noticed sometimes when they talk verbiage, they talk the verbiage of the perpetrators of the crime, so to speak. They talk that language and they say, well, something like, well, when he builds. And I'm like, no, you can't use this language. It's so important to language things so that you language them in the way of the outcome that you're imagining. Instead of their outcome, the language is the outcome that I'm imagining all the time. And I think it's really, that then becomes the verbiage that's used. So yeah, the parking garage, there's no parking problem. And if you believe there's a parking problem, what they say in India is they say, if you believe it, it is so.
Sounded like for a second when you said that, it sounded like from Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda's like father.
Exactly.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
If you believe it, it's so. So anyway, that's all I've got to add for the moment.
The secret to the super secret recipe is nothing. Jill, it's pretty funny. Like, because I'm in the commercial real estate space and all of that, there was, I had a really, really great opportunity to develop in Ensenada, Mexico. And, it's 1,000 acres. It's 1,000 acres. And because of these conversations that we're having here, somehow unconsciously, I'm just not allowing myself to go do it. It's interesting. But, I just want to say that there is and you know this too, but there is a distinction between positioning yourself against something versus like standing for something, right? So like when you're creating this movement, like really, really important to the energy of what you're choosing. Is it from a place of attack and defense, or is it from a place of love? Like it's a very thin, fine line, and only you are going to know this. And just as you lead people in a movement, right? Like this is something that we must understand, that we're not here to create more conflict and to be positioned on one side or the other, but we're here standing up for something. right? So it's like it could be very confused in it a lot of times. But, we know that in our gratitude trainings, we talked about, it's a very fine line between being positioned against war versus standing for peace, right? Because that could be confused. It's the same thing. But only you would know which way you are choosing from. And so prayers
I
for,
appreciate that. Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely appreciate that. And, what I've been saying to our group for a long time is that we don't need to be on the defensive all the time, that we should be on the offensive. But I think that it's actually, because honestly, the words that I have been using have been strategy, and they've come from a dialogue of that it's a war,
Mm,
and it's a war against the earth, and that and people understand that. I mean, in our community, people understand that this is important for an example of um, healing the earth, let's say, and teaching children these kinds of things. But what's more important is, like you say, the energy of coming from a place of love, and
mm-hmm,
even love for the quote, so to speak, opponents, because that they have a lot of negativity towards our group always, and have always at city commission meetings and stuff tried to disparage us and paint us in a picture of quote anti-development. We are not anti-development. We are for sustainable development, but the picture that they want to paint is one that is negative. And so that's a really good thing for me to hear, because we're sort of warding off a lot of attacks, so to speak, and it's more not necessarily positioning ourselves, but just being a space
mm-hmm.
for the love.
Yeah, it's a very fine but distinct line to invite people into fear or invite people into love. Right? Like it's actually very, very fine line, but it's very distinct because of the outcome. So just think about the outcome. Like imagine yourself in your meditations of actually sitting down with a developer and what that conversation would look like. If you guys started to disagree upon something, what becomes the most important thing for you in that moment? To be right about the way you have it, or is it a possibility of love? Because here's the other thing. We are actually projecting our own righteousness onto what the planet needs. Think about that
Yeah.
for a second, right? Like the planet has no problems, right? We think it does because it becomes more inconvenient for us. But the planet is cool if the entire planet is covered with ice. The planet is cool if there's thriving life. The planet, it does not, it can shake us off in a second, right? But we actually project our own insecurities and our own judgments onto the planet and use the planet as a way to defend. So we're just being very careful about the way that we bring people into, like, overall big picture. Am I inviting people into more love and more compassion, or did I just create another division against something? So that would be the only kind of coursey miracle-y thing that I would say around that, and no judgment at all against it. So awesome, Jill. But I think in some way these conversations of you being on here has impacted the way and influenced the way that I have made some decisions in my own real estate place. So good job. Jessica, the last one, and then we're ending it here. Thank you so much, everybody, for your patience of going over just a little bit, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Try to be laser. And my, I was on the call on Sunday when I mentioned how that no matter what I try to put in there, my fear grips me all the time in the most unexpected moments. And right now, my source of fear, I've had basically for the past, well, since we did the trainings, basically, because I know we've had conversations, I've had the same debt, roughly around $30,000. So has been first manifested in my personal life and everything, and it just seems like, and I make money. I have my business is good, and it's led me to make every time I've tried to make a dent, it's something's happened. There's something's happened, and I'm sure that I'm creating it. So what now? But during the pandemic, I got backed up on my payroll taxes, and so I have this 30,000 debt that keeps on showing up to me in one form or the other, in one form or the other. This debt that I've had obviously has affected my business credit, my personal credit, everything. And it's not like I said, I'm not making it. And every time that I've had the opportunity, I've gotten close to being able to like settle it. Something else like life altering that it has to have happening has happened to me and everything. And so I've just been carrying this, and this has affected my business. Everything that I have to pay for, my payroll, everything is cash. Everything is cash, and obviously, when you everything is cash and you have no credit, it's like a vicious circle. Which I realize that I'm on this merry-go-round and I can't seem to get off of it, no matter how close I come. Like I said, to that brass ring, always at the last minute, something happens. Something that's way more is a my I have neglected my condo and it's in foreclosure, or something else has happened. It's like, oh, this is more important. This is more important. So I can't seem to get off this merry-go-round, no matter how much. It's like, that thing when no matter the more you make, the more the more you spend. It is the more that I make and everything, and I have a great team now. And every time I settle one little part of my life, and it's like, oh no, this is working for me now. The other part falls apart. It's my personal life or it's my business. It's always something that's like falling apart, and I can't seem to get a grip on both sides of my life. I want to my personal and my business, and it's always like the perpetual glove in the face. It's like I'm waiting for that next freaking knockout punch to come, and I know it's in me. It's in me because I have the potential, I have the skills, I have everything, but I can't seem to get it together. And that's why I think it's all inside of me. It's some way, and I know the fear. The fear shows up in 1,000 different ways, and I just don't know what to do to get rid of it once and for all. And I realize that it's not even about the money, because it's like $30,000 would land from the sky right now. For some reason, I think that that's what I believe. Something else would show up that's like that has to be handled at that moment. And how do I get off this merry-go-round? I know this is going over time. It's easy, but I feel like this knot in my throat all the time, this clenching in my chest. And it's always just when I just see a little bit of daylight, the darkness comes in, and it just overpowers me. That's
Yeah.
all I got to say.
So I asked for this book to open to the exact passage that I was looking for, and I did, which is crazy. So here it is. It must be read for you, because when I started today's call, I opened it and I flipped to it. At one point, I was like, huh, I should read this today. And I didn't. And then here it is. Again, I didn't even know where it was. I was just like, I hope I find it. And I just started flipping and it just got there. So day 136, I surrender my financial fears today. In God, there is no lack. There is only abundance. In God, there is no meaningless pursuit. There is only endless creativity. In God, there are no endings, but only the start of new beginnings. I dwell in God that I might be delivered from the realm of lack, from the pain of meaninglessness, and from the sorrow of perceived failure. I am lifted above the limits of the world to the endless abundance of the mind of God, and thus I need not fear. Dear God, I place in your hands my financial concerns. As I abundantly give of myself, may abundance be given me. May I gift the universe, and the universe gift me in an endless cycle of love. Amen. So your problem that you've created and your form is in this financial form, and it's in the form of this exact like $30,000 back and forth. Now, as you give it over, it's the same thing as other things that we try to figure out. Is like, I just need to figure it out. Well, you somehow value being $30,000 in debt. Somewhere in you, there is value in there, right? Of just like this chaos that you want to keep perpetuating. You must give the entire thing over to Spirit. That this merry-go-round, it's not, you're not even on it, but you think you're on it. And you value the fact that you think you're on it. So you must give this whole merry-go-round and you being on it over to the Holy Spirit and say, here, you take it. And you just practice being at peace with whatever is showing up. And then allowing it to dissipate itself and allowing the abundance of the universe to be shed onto you so that you may just all of a sudden see, oh, wow, money's just landing in my pocket now. Oh, this huge job just happens to be exactly what I needed to pay this thing off. And then you just keep allowing the gifts of the universe, of the abundance world that is you, to flow through to you. But if you keep deciding you need to be on this merry-go-round and you have this idea that you are on it, then you will just keep being on it. And you'll find one thing, pay one thing off, take another, and gain another one. All right, so it is hard because you don't have evidence. This is why faith, right? Faith and fear, these are kind of the two things. Faith is the belief that something good is happening or is going to happen without evidence. And fear is the belief that something bad is going to happen without evidence. Right? So both things are really faith. You have rooted in you faith. Now it's just time to choose which one. There we go again. Back down to only have two choices.
And that's what I mean. Is so right now between faith and fear. So the only thing is that right now I'm looking over here at the IRS notice over here, $30,000, and I have 7 days that they're gonna levy or seize or whatever the hell I have, whatever bullshit I fucking have and everything. So that to me, how do I not make that my reality?
You call them and have a conversation. Can I get on a payment plan?
Oh, I've been doing this for 4 years. That's the whole thing. That in between trying to circumvent this, I've paid thousands of dollars in lawyers' fees and stuff like that to take me on this, to keep me on this merry-go-round back and forth and everything. This is the final determination. This is the final determination finally from the IRS after being on this merry-go-round, and now it's landed, and I actually have like a landing spot over here for this $30,153, and I'm like, well, okay, now what? How do I not do fear? How do I not say like, hey, I have faith. Something's gonna is gonna happen. Is gonna then I'm really
Faith has no evidence. So maybe you're not even supposed to be in this business. I don't know, right? Like, see, the fear is that I have to let go of the identity of Jess Electric. This is who I am my whole life. I must be this. Like, how many times does life have to tell you that this is not where you belong and this is not who you are, before you're finally like, okay, I give up. And there's probably solutions, right? I mean, but do it in a way that, like, look, the IRS's business is not to take your properties. That requires them to pay money to go and do that. Their job and their goal is to collect money. If you pay them anything, they're happy, right? They'll extend. They'll happily work with you. So these are. And can you accept whatever the outcome is in terms of this 30,000? Right? Come to that first. So yeah, maybe connect with Michelle. Michelle seems to have a lot of ideas about this. And then Kat says, they call me every day if you want me to give you some of their numbers. They don't have a... Yeah, I mean...
I'm thinking maybe me hiring the lawyers was like that negativity is like that anti-war kind of position.
It's battle.
Made it a battle.
Yeah, Jess, I went through this with my aunt, and it was many years. But you have to talk to the right person. I don't like getting attorneys involved because it just makes it more adversarial. And by the grace of God, we did get her on a plan, and then she stupidly, didn't stay on the plan, and then we got her back on the plan. And then I got to tell you, I really do believe this. My aunt has been a really good person all her life and did a lot for others. And she was in a bad situation. And somehow we got, after paying X dollars, we got the account closed and they forgave everything. Like,
I honestly, to this day, do not know how that happened because I know the full amount, like she was owing like over 100,000. It was ridiculous. So it's hard work, but if you don't want to avoid it, that's the thing. So I got that straightened out for her, and yeah, it takes a lot of energy, but I would not go through an attorney. There's no magic to it. No magic.
There's just miracles in terms of when people wake up to love. Maybe that person that was taking care of the account was just on this like a Course in Miracles call one day and was like, I'm tired of this shit. And he goes in and just it's like, I'm quitting today and I'm closing all of these accounts as paid and I'm out.
No,
And then the receiving end is like, oh my God, God?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That is possible. Because I had a legal situation years back where I thought I was gonna lose my license and everything, and it was a miracle that all of a sudden the opposing counsel they just like dropped everything, like just like to this day I don't know. Other than I know I had a great lawyers on that, but I don't know how it happened, but it happened, and to this day I'm still amazed, and I have to believe that can happen again. That can happen again. And the more I try to avoid it, that's how I ended up taking on the partner that almost put me out of business. Still trying to find ways out. Me, the physical me, trying to find ways out instead of letting God, take care of it for me. I'm doing, of course, my due diligence. Not just sitting and ignoring, saying God's gonna handle it, but me fighting it has been worse. It's been way worse.
Yeah. Try to figure out a solution for the most amount of peace and ease, right? Let ease and peace be your guide to your decision making. So, okay, well, this was a very interesting, exciting conversation and turn of events. I mean, it went from nobody saying anything to we can't get off this call now, but we are ending it here. I do have some other commitments now, and come back on Sunday. We will continue this conversation and just bring the energy to the front end of the call. Yeah, love it. All right, guys. Much blessings. Thank you so much. And have a fantastic Wednesday. Bye, everybody.